Hello and welcome back. And once again, Rob has got to work on hitting the recording button. This has really been like recently, this has been a challenge. But this is the Developreneur podcast, also building better developers. I am Rob Broadhead, one of the founders of Developreneur, also a founder of RB Consulting, where we are a boutique consulting company. We sit down with you, we talk about your processes, talk about your procedures, talk about your business and where you are today. And then we work on building a technology roadmap for how do you do things better today? How do you get some of those low-hanging fruit? But also, how do you improve your business for success for the future, whether that's 6 months or 6 years from now? We do that through simplification, integration, automation, innovation, all of those shuns. But when we get done with it, we help you make the most out of your bottom line and one of your most expensive investments, which these days is technology. Good thing, bad thing, you can reach us at rb-sns.com just in case you're checking that out. Good thing, bad thing today, or actually this week, in the midst of a very busy week, which is in itself very good, but also very bad. So I'm very busy, don't have to worry too much about what I'm doing each day, but I am also pretty exhausted by the end of the day. It's also allowed me, since I am on a client site this week, to be able to work on my digital nomadness a little bit. And it is pretty much working pretty good. Things have been well. I've got the devices and the things I need. I do occasionally forget to charge items, so they get close to zero before I have to plug them in. Other than that, I don't have to plug him in, but Michael's going to go ahead and introduce himself.
Hey everyone, my name is Michael Meloche. I'm one of the co-founders of Building Better Developers, also known as Develpreneur. I'm also the founder of Envision QA, where we take test-driven development and apply it to client software testing and helping customers really assess their software stack to make sure that the software that they're using is working for them, be it custom or over-the-shelf software. If it's not, we come in and we help work with you to either determine if you need to buy something new or build something custom to meet your needs. At the end of the day, we help you streamline your processes so that your software works for you, not the other way around. Good thing, bad thing, like Rob, it's also a very busy week this week, which is very good. Bad thing, allergies are kicking me in the butt again.
And today we are back to an interview, and we're going to be speaking with Agustin Morrone. And I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself and share a good, bad thing that you have going on.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Rob. Thank you very much, Michael, for inviting me here. I'm very happy to be here also. As mentioned, my name is Agustin. I'm a co-founder and CEO at Vintti. Born and raised in Argentina and actually living in Barcelona. We started Vintti 3 years ago. It's been crazy, bootstrap since scratch. I'm breaking records month after month. So in terms of good thing, bad thing, what the good thing here is that we're still growing, we're still breaking records month after month, and this is amazing. And bad thing, my kid, 2 years old, is with the flu, so my sleeping hours are a bit tight this week, but here we are.
So let's dive right into, so you're in Barcelona, Spain, right? And so you're in Europe, but you're basically placing people in South and Central Americas. What are your primary customers? Are they North America, European, all of the above?
Exactly. So Vintti is a recruiting and staffing agency, right? And what we focus is in delivering talent from Latin America to clients in the US and Canada. Actually, 95% of our clients are in the US, and we have 5% of our clients in Canada, but we focus just on that area. We want to go niche there, understand perfectly what you need, and deliver great talent from Latam.
Now, we're always interested in startup stories and things like that. And I guess we'll start at the beginning of this. So what was the genesis, or what was the thing that got you guys deciding that you were going to build Vintti, and maybe a little bit like what was your background before you started into that?
So it's a bit weird because I came to Spain to study, to do an MBA. And after that, I always wanted to start my own company. It was my dream since I get out of school. I got out from college. As soon as I finished my MBA, I started working for a startup called Abacum, where they provide a software that they were automating all the financial planning and analysis part of startups. And I was in charge of well, actually, I was on a sales role selling that software to LATAM companies. And at that point, I realized that there was a big pain to find, talking with all the entrepreneurs, with finance managers, CFOs. I discovered that there was a big pain to finding talent for work to those startups, which also are US startups and startups that are in North America. And I realized that it was very hard, not just to automate all the finance part, but also to find talent that were good and that can add value and that have experience in the US market. So at that point, I said, okay, this is the moment. I have there is an opportunity, there is a clear path, and there is a clear need for finance and accounting teams to build their team offshore. Right? It's known that there is a bit of a shortage of accountants in the US. That career is sort of struggling in a way in terms of generating more talent. So US companies, US firms are going outside to the Philippines generally to find talent. And we believe that finding people in Latin America based in the same time zone, which are also culturally aligned, and also they can have really, really good English skills, and they are really good professionals, right? Which is the most important thing. That's why we focus just in LATAM, and that's what kicked me off to start.
Now, you actually addressed one of them, was what are the some of the selling points of LATAM resources and things like that. But now, are you especially in the financing sector in that? I'm wondering, do you run into any issues where companies are concerned with having offshore resources dealing in that areas? I know sometimes we run into it in the software world. I would expect that finances to be one where they struggle with that. And how do you address it?
Exactly. So data security is one of the most important points and concerns of our clients. So what we do there is we don't access the data. We just provide the equipment, and we let our clients to do whatever they want with the computer. Just put their softwares, their security measures, and we let them do what they need to do so that relationship can work. And also we have a pretty thorough pre-vetting process where we do a criminal background check, contacting the police entities in the specific country where the candidate is being hired. We ask for 3-4 reference checks from previous jobs. We make sure that the person that we are hiring is pre-vetted at the end, right? And they have good records, they are good people, and in that way we have never had any issue regarding this.
Now, do you guys have employees? Does Vintti have employees that you guys are sending out to these customers, or are they contractor, basically just subcontracting through you primarily, or a little bit of both?
So we have a little bit of both, right? Depending on the country, depending on what our client wants, but most of them are contractors, right? So we englobe them below Vintti. We coach them, we train them, we help them succeed with our clients. That's sort of also our value added, and mainly depends a lot of what the client wants, but 80%, 85% are contractors.
Now, because that's a lot. It sounds like you guys invest a lot in your contractors. So are you able to then, able to keep them busy for a long period of time, maybe roll from one customer to another because now you know them, you've vetted them, so you don't have to repeat that process with someone new?
So generally, how we work is we try not to have people on the bench or people. We won't push anyone to one of our clients because it's on the bench of our company. What we try to do is we try to understand exactly what our clients want and then go out to the market and find that perfect profile for them. Culturally aligned, technically aligned. We do several interviews before we even introduce them to our clients. So we don't like to have like a pool of candidates hired by Vintti ready to jump in, because I don't believe, I believe that each of our customers, they have their own culture. They want to specific things in each candidates, and I want to find the best cultural fit there, because when we find, it's the most difficult thing to find is cultural alignment with our clients, right? Technical skills, it's also difficult, but it's easier to find them. Culture, that's the big challenge. And I cannot have people on the bench and try to force them to be what our clients want, right? I need to find them and bring the best fit for them.
So, given that most of these are contractors and you're dealing with a lot of financial companies, I'm assuming, given the particular market you're going after, do you run into any like Sarbanes-Oxley or government securities that these companies need additional security for your contractors, or specific like logins or special security for them to even be able to work with your customers?
When they are dealing with, so in terms of taxes, generally our clients do not outsource taxes to outside the US, because if not, legally you have to disclose that to their own clients. So generally what they do is just they outsource the accounting part or the financial planning part or whatever. When it's everything related with FP&A of a company, security measures are lower because it's super important, but it's not that sensitive in terms of personal information or things like that. When it's regarding accounting, they are a bit thorough in terms of the analysis that they do for who are they hiring and the softwares that they want to install in the equipment that the people are going to be using. You can, and as in everything, you have clients that are super strict, which ask us to include them in our insurance, and also they request to install a software where they will be recording the screen of the candidate and taking pictures of the candidate, so they are not, so they are they can assess if they are doing other things or not, if they stand up and they leave, or so there are lots of softwares to evaluate attitudes of the candidates. And now with AI, that's even easier because you can detect if they are using their phone to take a picture of the screen, or it's easier to detect strange or weird attitudes from the candidates.
Gotcha. So your company doesn't really have that infrastructure. It's your customers that have that infrastructure, and your contractors essentially go through them and their security protocols for what they need. Okay. I was curious because I've seen that with different contract companies where they have their own and they have to go through a different type of thing. So I was just curious how you guys had that set up.
Exactly.
In regards to your contractors and that, what's your overall turnover with your contractors? So since you have all this growth right now, are you finding that a lot of your clients are hiring your contractors on after a period of time, or are they keeping them as contractors through your company?
Depends a lot on the type of company. What we have seen is like companies with a more startup mindset, they tend to start with the classical staffing model. And once they realize this is a good fit, they execute a buyout and they bring the person under their payroll. And then you have like more SMBs or accounting firms, like from 0 to 20 people, they leave the staffing model and they leave the contract in that way. They don't want to deal with the payroll. They don't know, they don't understand. They are afraid of how things are done in LATAM. So they prefer us to take over, and that's it.
So when you go, when you approach these customers and you're looking for new customers, how are you going out and attracting them? Are you like through online marketing, or are they coming to you through? I'm just kind of curious how you're finding these customers to basically, match your contractors with your customer.
That's the biggest challenge, right? How we can grow at the end, and we do lots of things. My background is in sales, so starting this was not that difficult in terms of putting systems like doing outbound cold calling, outbound email, reaching people out through LinkedIn. Now we are scaling more with a marketing perspective, investing a lot in quality information that positions us as experts in the industry. And we are trying to participate a lot in communities, flying to the US to conferences, being there. So this is how we are trying to scale at the end, right? And this is the way we bring clients, and then obviously we go out to the market and find the candidates for them.
So based on that, can you give me an example of where you've been really successful with that and where you've run into challenges, had some bad experiences with that, trying to find customers?
So what have worked really good for us is doing outreach, cold outreach for them. Like we have an amazing team of VDRs, which are experts in the fields of our clients. Like if we have a team that is reaching out to accounting firms. So there are people that they don't have background in accounting, but we train them to understand and to speak the same technicalities with their clients. And in that way, that's the way we found that these people these VDRs are being able to get positive responses for them by talking them in their same, let's say, language, right? So outbound cold outreach through email, LinkedIn, and cold calling has been a good channel for us. And where we are struggling a lot is in paid media and paid ads, in Google Ads. To be honest, that's a channel that in these 3 years we tried everything. Whatever you can imagine, we tried, and nothing works. The sad part is that I see our competition, that they have things that are working, and it's desperate, but I don't know. I don't know what we are doing wrong. We tried with different agencies, with different people, and I don't know why we are not hitting the target.
So now, being since you're in Spain and you're dealing with U.S. companies, do you have essentially boots on the ground? Do you have people that are located in the U.S. that you do where you have to do in person meetings and things like that with your customers, or have you found that this has worked really well, that you can use Zoom and tools like that and do virtual meetings and be able to really haven't really had any problem finding customers that way?
So we sell online talent, right? So, and we sell also people that sell for our clients. So at the end, I'm a true believer that we can sell and we can do things only online. Having said that, I know that there are lots of strategies working out for people in place, organizing dinners, organizing community events, things that are working very good in terms of growth. We are starting to do that. Also, I have gone to the US last year a lot. This year I have done a lot, and next year my plan is to go 2 or 3 times per month to meet clients, generate community, do networking. Those are the things that are helping companies like ours scale, and our strategy is going that way. After the pandemic, during the pandemic, everything went online. But after the pandemic, the online trend has been going down, and people want to go out, wants to be in person, they want to meet. And what we have discovered is that when we fly there, and when we have either me or my sales leads or someone from the marketing team, we go on the ground, our success rate in terms of meeting 20 people and getting 2 free leads, it's huge compared to cold calling, outbound, or the conversations that we have online, right?
And that makes sense, because I think there's still that level of people like to meet somebody face to face, especially when you're doing something like this. When you're dealing with something that's sensitive data, like your financial systems and stuff like that. Even if you aren't meeting face to face necessarily the person that's doing the work, I think having somebody like yourself that's a representative, that it's somebody they can trust. They say, "Oh, okay, I know him. He's great. I trust that he's doing the things that he needs to do to vet these people. So if he says they're good, then they're good." So I totally get that. Now, I do want to shift gears a little bit with this. Is now you've mentioned actually already a couple of things that have been your struggles as you've been growing, but outside of obviously the marketing, which I think in itself totally with you on that. Is that marketing seems to be there's a lot of options out there, and it seems like everybody's got their own niche, and it's finding yours is always a challenge. But what are some of the other struggles that you've had as you've grown? And it sounds like you've grown fairly quickly. So what are some of the things that you've run into, maybe particularly the ones that you didn't expect when you started this out a few years ago?
For me, and it's a bit paradoxic for having a recruiting firm, but for me, finding A players and really the people who I need to help me to bring Vintti to the next level, which is at the end my team, it's been a big challenge. Because it's very difficult to find someone that fits with the culture, that understands you, that wants to go to your rhythm, and also that understands and knows the technical skills. So for me, that's the finding good players has been a challenge, especially when you start growing fast and you need to feed the machine like quicker, right? Because at the beginning you have one or two hires, and then you can take time and you can do interviews, and you are just one or two, and it's easier. But now that you have to onboard, I don't know, 5, 6 per week, and you have to do 20 interviews, you start driving crazy. And I like to at least get to know everyone that enters Vintti, and it's like getting half of my agenda. And so that's the challenge that I'm facing right now. That's my biggest issue today, is how to solve finding great players, vetting them, and onboarding them to Vintti. And a second one is how to I'm like a bit obsessed with systems, processes, and I want to have everything documented and everything, understand perfect how it works and how the process goes from marketing to sales, sales to operations, operations to our clients. And when you get bigger and bigger, things get a bit you start losing control of lots of things, and you have to start trusting a lot your team, right? So the second challenge for me to try to impart to my team to keep doing things the way I think are gonna help us to get to the next level, right? Which is having SOPs super clear, so when we onboard people, it's easier. Those things have been also a challenge.
Now, did you start, because you said this is something that's actually you're sort of obsessed with, that you enjoy doing that. So did you start with the idea of having to have like SOPs and that from the beginning, or is this one of those things that sort of became more of an awakening as you got further in the organization when you realized, oh, shoot, we got to go back and we got to make sure that we have these there, so we've got this documented, so we can grow those processes?
So technically, I always knew that it's key to have everything documented and for everyone to be able to access all the information and access how the processes are done in any area of the company. But the reality is that when you start and you are iterating like crazy and trying to find different ways to grow, and then you find one client and you adapt to that client, then you find another one and you adapt to that one. When you start growing, things get crazy. And the reality is that you cannot document everything, because 99% of the things that you are documenting don't even work, right? So the challenge was, when we start discovering things that were working, start to transport that knowledge and put it in paper and having everything really good. So I knew that I had to have that, but I didn't do it since the beginning because it was impossible.
That makes sense. It's you have to figure out what works before you want to, or it makes most sense to figure out what works before you start documenting it and saying, okay, no, this is the path we're going to go. Now, back a little bit to your other problem. Have you found any processes or common things that you can do as part of trying to find those A players, or is it really sort of does it tend to be sort of like each case is just trying to find that person, interview them, and figure it out? Or is there are you starting to find some sort of a process, procedure, an automated approach, a streamlined approach that you can get to gather those people?
So how we are handling today is I try to interview everyone at least at that last stage for the recruiting process. So when the hiring manager they say, hey, this is the person. Technically, I want them. Culturally, they can work with me. Then I do the last interview because I think that as CEO and co-founder, I'm sort of the guardian of the culture of the company, and it's my responsibility not to get any rotten apples in the team, right? So even though in all the life of Vintti, I learned a lot how to discover the people that will succeed within Vintti, right? So now I try. At the beginning it was a 1 hour interview, going deep in their personality, in their technical skills. Now I do a 15, 20 minute interview where I go right to the bone, asking 3, 4 questions and trying to understand where their ambition is, where their view is, how they are, and I try to hire good people with a lot of ambition. I think that combination has worked amazing for us.
And that wraps up part one of our interview with Agustin Morrone. Just want to thank him. We will thank him again in part two, and then a little bit more. There is going to be a little bit of bonus material outside of these for those of you in the YouTube world. Obviously, you get to see a lot of behind the scenes stuff when you do this. So if you're just listening to this, check us out. YouTube.com, Developreneur channel. Got now multiple seasons, like 3, 4 seasons of podcasts. That's like almost like 100 episodes of podcasts that are out there. Not to mention a couple of hundred of episodes of tutorials and training and mentor episodes and things of that nature. So you can check that out. As always, shoot us an email at info@developreneur.com and let us know your thoughts, good and bad, about what you see and future topics, recommendations. Speakers that you have, guests that your feedback on them, but also if you have some, if you want to be one, go ahead and reach out to us there. Let us know. You can also check us out at developreneur.com. Obviously, I would say we have contact forms. You can leave comments everywhere there. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you can check us out there. Please subscribe and just let us know. That just helps us know who's out there and who's listening on a regular basis. Also at Developreneur on X. Facebook.com. We also have a Developreneur page. So you name it, we're out there somewhere or another. Unless you name it and we're not there, in which case, let us know. And we will get out there because we want to make sure that we are where you are. As always, I want to thank you so much for your time. And go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week. And we will talk to you next time.